Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new series of the Adventure Show. This month we're at the fast flowing, boat bashing white water of the Grandtully Canoe Slalom.
And this year there's been two important rule changes that will affect the race on the Tully today. The first one is that it's not a cumulative score over 2 runs that will count, it's your fastest of the 2, irrespective of whether it's first or second run.
1 run counting makes the challenge a little bit stiffer because you can't afford any mistakes. You've got to really make sure you get 1 good run down and then work off that to get a second good run down.
You know, you just try to do your best every run, and you know, one of them will be hopefully the fastest one.
And also they've instigated the new single pole rule. Instead of having 2 poles consisting of a gate, some of them are now a single pole, which means you can whip the boat round faster, making a much more dynamic race.
New thing, all these single poles, that's new to me and looks really bizarre because I've not been training with single poles, but I mean it's easier if anything, it just looks weird.
Also in this month's programme, we'll be finding out just what it takes to win a silver medal at the Olympics. And Cameron McNeish has picked a perfect day for his monthly expedition into the hills.
What I want you to do now is just close your eyes and don't open them till I tell you, because the view from up here is dramatic. I told you it was good, didn't I?
And I mustn't forget, I'll be attempting to get myself down this course in one piece. Well, maybe not. But first, a taste of what's in store for the competitors. And who better to take us down this year's course than former World Cup medalists Tim Bailey and Etienne Stott.
Spot the rock, trying to get a nice cut through behind that.
Right from the top of the course, setting up and taking the correct line is crucial.
Through the side currents on the way to gate 2. Pivoting up. Spinning around. Turn through gate 4. On the way to upstream gate 5. Be careful not to get too ahead of yourselves on gate 6.
The competitors have 18 gates to negotiate. Red gates are upstream, green down.
Slide through gate 7. Trying to set up a nice breakout. Neatly round the pole. Keep the speed moving. Look at gate 9.
The fastest line is nearest to the gates.
In tightly.
But 1 touch means a 2-second penalty.
Out in control into the current. Working hard towards gate 11. Let the boat glide with the water. Towards gate 12. Nicely done. Get the bows off into gate 13.
Paddling's all about upper body strength, and there's no lack here as Tim and Etienne power into the last stretch.
Working hard now towards the end of the course. Setting up a reverse spin move on gate 15. Wriggling through the last few gates and to the finish line. And that's it. It was good conditions, good race conditions, no wind, which is our main enemy in terms of racing, and it was nice, yeah.
So that's this year's course. Now it's time to find out how the women kayakers will cope with it. We're joining the action as 2 of the favourites take to the water on their first run. This is only the second time this season they've competed with the new rules. It means that the fastest time from either run counts, so there's all to play for from the very start. First down the course is Olympic paddler Fiona Penny.
And Fiona is moving through, she did that very well. She just lost it a little bit, she wants to just turn the boat, that lost her about half a second there. Another uphill gate, and Fiona so far is doing pretty well. And the water level seems to have dropped a little bit, which makes some of the bumps a bit bigger and the fast water between the gates a little slower, so it'll be very interesting to see how this works later on in the afternoon. Fiona, nicely done, just letting the boat pivot round the blade. That's nice too. Rotating the whole boat just with a flick of the wrist. And into the technical section at the bottom of the course. She's doing pretty well. And it looks like a clean run for Fiona.
So with a time of 108.13 and no penalty points, Fiona Penny set the standard to beat. Next on the course, in the number 1 vest, is Lizzie Neve.
A hot prospect here today. Still competing for selection. There's 3 places, but she is competing also to win. Oh, it looks like she might have missed that. It's hard to tell from this angle. That's nicely done. And using her knees and her hips to steer the boat as well as just her arms. That's beautifully done too. Technically very competent. And then she's coming down through here into some fast water. Very nice and tight on that. Beautifully done on gate 12. Rotating around the single pole of gate 13. That's good. Come on, Lizzie. Faster hands, please. And Lizzie is down into the bottom section of the course. Very technical. And upstream gates being red and downstream green. Oh, she's just clipped the green downstream gate. That's going to cost her.
And indeed it does. With 2 seconds added for clipping the gate, that means Lizzie Neve's in second place with a total time of 108.52. In third place is Louise Donington with 110.27, and Fiona Penny's currently sitting in first place with a time of 108.13. But as it's no longer the total time that counts, anyone could still take the top spot. And we're rejoining the action for the second run. First up, Fiona Penny.
Fiona has been at this, senior paddler has been at this for a very long time. Very, very strong member of the Team GB. She may just have got inside though. She's clicked that gate. So that's a 2-second penalty. So Fiona looking to improve on the 108 first run. She'll need to paddle very, very hard in this slightly slower water to beat that time. And she is trying to bash in a much, much better time. And Fiona coming in. Oh, she's clipped another gate. That's 4 seconds down. That may have lost her the lead in the second run. She'll be relying on the first run time of 108.17. Fiona coming down into another upstream gate. Let's hope she doesn't clip that. Another clip of the gate would really finish this second run, and she'd have to rely on the first. But still powering on, still very quick. Nicely through 15. Downstream now for 17 and 18. And Fiona paddles towards a fast finish.
And even with 4 penalties, Fiona's still faster than her first run with a total of 107.70. That's the time to beat.
Third place after the first run was Louise Donington from the Home Pierpoint Club, 108.27 with a 2-point penalty now. Yeah, clean through there. 7. Now watch the swinging gates of 8. No problem at all for Louise Donington. And 13. How's she managed 13? Oh my goodness, using all the power in the core muscles in the tummy to get round 13, but she's through and she's clear, and clear so far, I think. That's nice. So up high on 15, turn through 15 onto 16. Again, a little bit of limbo dancing required, but she's through for 16, 17. That is a pretty impressive run, but it's all about the time for Louise Donington. Has she done enough?
No, she's not. 109.05 puts Louise Donington into third place. So it's a fight between Fiona Penny and the final woman on the course today, Lizzie Neve.
And Lizzie Neve is flying through the middle part of this course. Very good, bending deep and low under that gate. Really being very, very competitive. Very strong. Just leaning back a little bit, but using all her skill to negotiate these gates, looking very, very good. She had just picked up 2 penalty points on the first run, and if she can break the 108 mark, that will do it for her. But it looks as though these second runs are all slightly slower than the first because of the water level being dropped slightly, and it's much, much bumpier. It's 111.4, so she is 3 seconds down on her first round. Her first round will count.
So at the end of the second run, it's Louise Donington in third place with a time of 109.05. Lizzie Neave stays in second with her first run time of 108.52, while Fiona Penny comes in first with 107.70. So a mixed day for Lizzie Neave after a good start.
I was pleased with my first run. Thought that was pretty good. Not so good on my second run, but thankfully the new rules mean that best run counts, so my first run managed to keep me in the top 2.
Fiona, congratulations, you're getting pretty used to winning here.
Yeah, I'm trying my best anyway. I mean, you know, it's been a long old winter, and after the Olympics last year I took a lot of time off and then had a long winter, so it's good to get back into race pace.
What is it about the sport that you love so much?
It's just the competition of trying to pull off the moves quicker than anybody else. You know, you're given a sort of test, as it were, with each new course, and you're trying to figure out how to do that move as quickly as possible, and then the next move like better than everybody else, and that's just, you know, a great challenge. And then when it all comes together, it all flows, and it's almost effortless, and it's a great feeling.
On the Adventure Show, they like to test the presenters. I've been very lucky in the past. I've done 24-hour mountain biking, even ice climbing, but today we thought it was time that I tried some whitewater kayaking. Kev McHugh here is from Scottish Canoeing, and you're the performance director, Kev. What am I doing today, and am I going to stay dry?
First thing we're going to do is assess your forward paddling capabilities, and we're actually going to use a paddling machine for that.
Right, okay, so this is the thing first. I thought this was a rack, so this is a paddling machine, so that's not so bad.
You know, from that we can already see you've done quite a lot of paddling, and it's very natural action for you.
I popped it already though.
Good, good. And the only real difference is, can you maintain that good technique you're showing just now when we get on to more challenging water?
I'm guessing not.
No pressure.
I don't mind telling you, Kev, it's been a while since I've been on a boat and I'm a wee bit nervous.
So bow upstream, and lean right. Back into the eddy on this side, and paddle back up the eddy.
Well, I just made a complete mess of that.
So what happened there, Dougie, is obviously the laws of physics is as you hit the current's wanting to push the bow downstream.
Yeah.
So there's 2 things you can do. There's one, to have your bow more upstream as you hit the current.
Yeah.
And the other thing is to have stronger strokes, particularly on the downstream side. And
Right.
the more passive you become, the more the river starts to boss you around.
Right.
So if you can start to think a bit more assertively and think, no, I'm going over there, you will go over there.
Think I'm going over there, and you will go over there.
Go on. Go on. Good stuff. Okay, face where you want to go, look at where you want to go. Strong forward paddling, go on. And lean left, lean left, lean left. Well done. Okay, you got your paddle. Can you stand up?
Got my paddle. It's not quite as warm as I thought. It's absolutely chankers. Any chance of a lift?
Good. You ready for another go?
Yes, why not?
Strong forward paddling and lean left, lean left, lean left. Perfect, awesome. Wow, what a difference. Keep going, back up the eddy and into the current again. Strong forward paddling, leaning left, leaning left, leaning left. What we've done is we've broken into the current and we've broken out of the current into an eddy. We're now going to challenge you to do it a bit more accurately and actually do it around the gate. So I'm coming right down on top of the gate, so I've got lots of downstream momentum. Then when you get in behind the gate, turn, paddle up through it and away. Easy. Point at me, paddle forwards, turn in. Bow rudder.
Oh, missed it again. I'm going right and doing it again.
Very good lean. And back into the eddy here. Okay, face me, paddle forwards. Bow rudder. Paddle forwards. Hey! 7-stroke breakout.
Oh, we're happy with that. Oh, have a big stone there.
Grounded.
Grounded, yes. I have to wait for high tide to float me off.
And now it's time to join Cameron McNeish. Lucky for him, he's on dry land.
There are some places in Scotland that make my heart miss a beat when I hear the names mentioned. And one of those places is Torridon. It's a kind of evocative name, and it conjures up images of mountains that rise sheer from the sea into tier upon tier of muralled precipices, great sandstone bastions topped with quartzite ridges. It's an ancient landscape, in fact so ancient that today here in Torridon I'm going to be walking over some of the oldest rocks in the world. The best known of Torridon's hills are probably Benay, Leagach and Benalligan. And while the first two are kind of big, heavily muscled beasts of hills, I always tend to think of Benalligan as having more of a feminine form, almost quite sensual. It's essentially a big curving ridge with 4 distinct tops, and 2 of those tops are Munros. Tomna Grugach at 922 metres and Skurvor at 986 metres. And today, with a bit of luck and a following breeze, I'm going to climb both of them. Oh wow, look at that. Whew. You know, this whole area was raised up as a vast plateau about 30 million years ago, and the quartzite tops on the summit ridges are said to be about 60 million years old. That's the summit just appearing now. Tom the Groogie, 922 metres. Almost there. What I want you to do now is just close your eyes and don't open them till I tell you, because the view from up here is dramatic. There you go. Look at that. Open them now. Fantastic. But the most amazing thing of all is the bedrock of these mountains, the platform they stand on, is said to be in the region of 260 million years old. I could hardly get it out there. 260 million years. Can you believe that? Can you get your head around that sort of time scale? I know I certainly can't. But one of the lovely things about hill walking is you can come up to a place like this and consider these time scales, and it puts your own life into a kind of perspective. And one thing is for sure, that however this was created, one thing that was necessary to create this natural beauty was time, and lots of it. La la bum bum dee, la da dum dee, dee 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 dee, la 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 la, la dee dee dee, la da da dee dee, and I have come home. You know, the great mountaineer and conservationist John Muir once wrote these words. He said, "Thousands of tired, over-civilised people are finding out that going to the mountains is going home, that wilderness is a necessity." And you know, on a day like this one, in one of the wildest places in Scotland, I think I know exactly what he was getting at. This is the Aiguë, the Black Notch. And you wonder what sort of cataclysmic force ripped this part of the mountain and made it, fall all the way down to the bottom there. And down in the quarry floor, it's just filled with the rubble from this great big landslip. Absolutely amazing. But listen, I want to tell you something, come a bit closer. A number of local farmers for quite a long time could hear sounds of cries of anguish and wailing coming from this part of the mountain, as though the mountain itself was crying out in pain. And it wasn't until one of those shepherds actually fell to his death on the mountain that the wailing stopped, the cries stopped. Very curious story. There we go, our second Monroe of the day, Sgwr Vor. And all that remains now is a bit of a scramble over Anrath, the Horns of Allegan. Looks very impressive. Woo! You know, the first time I traversed these Horns of Allegan, the mountain was shrouded in mist and it really felt quite eerie. I had absolutely no idea how difficult the scrambling would be. Oh, maybe again. Indeed, I didn't even know if I could go over the Horns safely. It's quite adventurous really when I think of it. But you know, on a day like today, it's really a doddle, and I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be. That was Ben Allegan. This is Torridon. I told you it was good, didn't I?
Welcome back to Grandtully, and we're on the water again. Of course, there's been another change to the canoe slalom rules this year. For the first time, and at long last, women will be allowed to compete in single canoes, the C1 class. Here, paddlers kneel in their boat and use a single-ended paddle. It looks both uncomfortable and unstable. Nevertheless, Jacqueline Shaw's taken up the challenge. It's a steep learning curve.
The technique, you have to, of course, switch the paddle over onto the other side of the boat, which from a confidence point of view takes quite a lot to achieve. And to start with, it's so easy just to put the paddle in beside the boat and only on one side, and you've got to then build it up to putting it in properly and also on the other side.
So to learn the new techniques that you require in C1, how long was that transition between traditional and then the C1 techniques?
Generally, first of all, learning the technique took me about half a year on just working on the flat and trying to improve my technique. And then getting on when you get onto the moving water, it's another big step. So yeah, I've been working on it about a year and a half so far, and I'm not there yet.
And today, Jacqueline was the fastest woman down the course with a time of 150.44. Another major change this year is that many of the gates are marked by a single pole. It's a move welcomed by the coaches and course designers, but for the layman, it takes some getting your head around.
In fact, they're not really single poles, they're very wide gates. The other pole is kind of often on the bank, but it cleans up the course a bit and allows for some different moves, which has made the sport exciting, quicker. The paddlers can be fast around the poles without having to worry about that kind of outside pole in the breakouts.
Has there been some resistance from paddlers? Or
in a way, I think, yeah, because when you're looking at the course and looking at the gates over the water, it looks a lot barer. It looks like downhill skiing, for example, you've just got the single pole hanging over the water, and we're so used to seeing the actual traditional gate with the two poles. So there has been a bit of resistance, but I think it opens up a lot of possibilities. So a combination of the two gates gives the courses and the course designers a new lease of life.
So let's see how this works in action in the canoe classes as the C1 men take to the water.
So here's number 15, Adam Marshall. That's Scotland's second C1 paddler behind David Florence. Spent a lot of his early career in C2, a big hit on gate 3 there. Spent a lot of his early career on C2 with his brother Andrew, based out of the club in Denny. And he's put that big hit on gate number 3 behind him and worked hard over onto 7. Really going pretty fast here is Adam. And he's doing pretty well as Adam Marshall. He's one of the fastest guys down in the C1 class so far. His line is good and he is performing pretty well. But you see, watching Adam paddle and you watched, big hit on 16. If you watch David Florence paddle, there's a marked difference in the generation of power. 1.13 for Adam Marshall, a couple of hits, but that's a decent enough performance for the man from Denny.
A fast time, but because Adam hit 2 gates, he has 4 seconds penalty, making a total of 105.13.
So Mark Proctor on the top of the course now. He just his second year
out of the juniors, performed very well in 2006, won bronze in the under-18 European Championships, but he now lives in Nottingham, spends a lot of time on the national centre there. Mark Proctor is looking pretty strong and very, very, very good. Just using the speed of the river to take him down through across the 8 and 9. 10 always fairly comfortable into 11. And good effort from Mark Proctor. Right, watch the swinging gate of 12. It's an S gate, but he's comfortably through there. Down to 13. That's the 3 upstream gates in a row. 13, 12, 13, 14. And again, he is looking good and looking strong through 13. But this is the point where everything's starting to ache. 14's comfortable, and then back onto the single poles of 15, 16 and 17. Now that is an impressive run from Mark Proctor.
No penalty points for Mark, and that means he takes the lead with an impressive time of 1:03.49. Next on the course, it's David Florence.
So here is Britain's kayaking star, silver medalist in the Olympics. An incredible performance from David Florence. He is a man on top of the sport. An extraordinary performance from a Scot. Competing this year in the Worlds, looking to take a gold medal. And David is really one of the people that all Scottish kayaking has been celebrating. It was an amazing performance. I think he surprised himself. And he's paddling well here today. And really loves this river. Very, very smooth, very strong, very long, deep strokes. Good technique, very upright, very strong in the back. Beautifully done, just with a little twist of the wrists there to turn the boat around the gate. That looks extremely, extremely good. And the power of the paddle stroke is, it looks effortless, but it's a lot of training, a lot of technique. And this is a very, very good run as he's coming down into 17 and 18.
But then the judges ruled that David had in fact missed a gate, and that brings a 50-second penalty. And he also caught a pole, giving him a total time of 1:56.22. Third on the first run is Adam Burgess in 1:07.30. Adam Marshall's currently lying in second place with a time of 1:05.13, and out in the lead is Mark Proctor with 1:03.49. But what a disaster for David Florence. With a total of 1:56.22, he's currently in 19th place. With the old rules, he'd be out of the running, but now it's a clean slate for run 2, and David's got another chance at the top spot. So first off is Adam Marshall. He had the fastest time on the first run, but those 4 penalty points put him into second place. He is looking pretty strong on this second run. Such power in the upper body as he works his way down the course. But it's a slower time. 1:04.56 means at the moment he's still in second place.
And here's the leader after the first run, Mark Proctor. Had a great first run, 103.49 with no penalty points. Very, very impressive indeed. Oh, well, when we put the bow of the boat up quite far upriver, that'll cost him a bit of time going through 12. But he's got such a lot of upper body power, this guy. Remember, David Florence still to come. David Florence missed out in the first leg by missing a gate, but Mark Proctor at the moment is the man to beat. Still under 23 in the Stafford and Stone Club. Is it faster than his first round?
Yes, it is. 1:03.33. Mark's comfortably sitting in first place with just David Florence still to go.
So just coming into the top of the course, David Florence, he had an absolute nightmare in his first run. Not only did he hit a gate, he missed one, giving him a combined penalty of 52 seconds. So he should have every chance to take this, but he does not have the luxury of a clean first run. This is it. It's an all or nothing run for him. That looked a little slow. The tail of the boat dipped underneath and stalled slightly, but it's clean so far. That's what counts at the moment, and he'll make up the time. You can see how much he's pushing with his body to propel the boat forward, almost countering the stroke. So there's the push from the hips and the legs, as well as his long paddle stroke. Big long draws, punching the boat forward. And that's clear through those gates into 15. It's swinging slightly in the wind. He didn't clip that. And it's 17. So a clean run of 96.17 for David Florence. So he's 7 seconds clear of the rest of the field.
So, confirmation of those results. Adam Marshall's in third with a time of 104.56. Mark Proctor's pushed down into second place with a time of 103.33, while David Florence takes top spot with that amazing time of 96.17. So, how does runner-up Mark Proctor feel about the result?
Pretty happy, 2 solid runs. Yeah, quite surprised how far off I was off first place. But yeah, lots of positives to take from it. If it was the rules last year, then yeah, I'd have won hands down, but as it was, Dave put in a very good second run.
So after a pretty impressive silver medal last year in the Olympics, how are things going this year?
Really good. Had to obviously after the games start back into training, and it was great to be back into it, and now just coming into the next race season, and had a good race today and enjoying being back racing really.
Earlier you saw my attempts on the water here at Grandtully, but what does it take to reach the very top of the sport? We've been following 2 members of the 4th canoe club, including David Florence. The other is 14-year-old Bradley Forbes, an ambitious teenager.
I'd like to get to the Olympics in 2016. If I do that, it will be amazing, I guess.
The other is already an Olympian.
He's absolutely flying. This is a tremendous time. Florence's finishing time, 178.61. He's in the lead and could get a medal in this C1 final. Brilliant.
All right, Nick.
David Florence now lives in Nottingham, and much of his life is taken up with training.
Sometimes in the winter, when it's freezing cold and very windy, you'd rather be somewhere a bit warmer, but no, I certainly quite enjoy it.
There's yet another change to competition rules. David can now compete as usual in a single canoe and also in a double canoe, C2. He's partnered with kayaker Richard Hounslow. Twice a day they train on the whitewater course at the National Water Sports Centre, Home Pierpoint.
My life was obviously completely focused around training all day, most days. It's great fun and I love it, but it's all done with a real purpose, a real ambition. When I started out canoeing, I just went canoeing because I loved getting on the river. I still enjoy canoeing, but there's much more to it now for me. It's about the dream at the end of the day. It's about where you're trying to go with it all and progress that you're trying to make.
Down the double, up the red, yeah, and then surf across. In effect, you've got David normally paddles a single canoe. So if you imagine him in the double canoe and cut Richard off the back, their style almost is David paddles a single canoe with Richard behind him. And so they've got a very different style to some of the other boats because David's so strong and has got such specific technique from his single canoe that they can paddle it from the front and almost let David lead, you see, and then Richard follows behind. It wasn't like the Muncher where you're having to kick turn on this. It was sweet, and you carried speed across into the back. It was pretty good.
When I was training back in Scotland, when I was still at school, I always wanted to come down to Nottingham simply because this is where all the top guys in the country are based. This is where we have the National Water Sports Centre, all the coaching set up, and it's the best canoe slalom course that we have in Britain to train. I really like it. It's great. There's a good canoeing community down here with all the guys around training full-time for canoe slalom as well. It makes it more enjoyable knowing that there's other people around doing the same thing that you are. It's great. Really what we do in the gym is all about increasing our power. I've not got much heavier from the gym training that I've been doing. I'm not trying to particularly build muscle, I'm trying to learn to use my muscles more effectively and strengthen all the connections within my body, my core, as everything really has to be well connected to drive the boat forward faster. In C1, when most people start out, you'll notice that they collapse through the back when they try and put any power in, especially on your crossbow side. They'll do that, whereas do a lot of work, and you notice that the top guys, they're very much, you notice that it comes very strong from the back, and they're very good at keeping everything in very good posture.
Okay, Bradley, go. Up, breathe, breathe, Bradley, breathe, breathe. Now dig in, don't let your boat rock. Keep it smooth, smooth, smooth. That's much better. Very good.
Definitely when I'm surfing it feels like you're flying. Just for those 5 seconds that you pick up the wave before it crashes, then all hell breaks loose. It feels brilliant and you just want to do it over and over and over again. And it's hard to explain, but it feels good.
At 14, Bradley Forbes is winning events above his age group, and the East of Scotland Institute of Sport is guiding his development as a possible future Olympian. But all the driving to competitions and training is done by Mum.
The very first time he was on a boat, somebody said to me that he had a natural flair, and that if he got the opportunity to do it, he should, have a go, a real go at canoeing. And he came along here and never looked back, really. All the coaches have been really keen to help out and to develop his paddling. He's excelling in it, and I think that's important for him. It's given him real self-confidence and, well, maybe a bit too much of that. There have been a few comments from his teachers, things that I suppose he becomes very friendly with coaches, and it's a kind of different level of friendliness to what he should have with a teacher at school. And I think that's maybe even been a bit inappropriate at times, that's been commented.
Bradley has a sports scholarship to Edinburgh Academy. After school, it's straight down to the gym at the Scottish Institute of Sport.
It may look heavier than it is, the weights he was using today were technique discs in a lot of the cases, so although they look big and green, they're actually very light. Kind of roll in here. That's why I keep saying stick your chest out. Got to stick your chest out with arms straight, elbows turned out. It's really important for Bradley and for kids that age to establish a really good gym culture, training culture, establishing really good technique that's going to stand them in good stead throughout their competitive career. We put them on a basic program, learning basic techniques, basic exercises, and really concentrating on really good form and good technique on those exercises.
I come here twice a week for about 2 hours each session. I just kind of leave the homework till the last minute and then try to fit in.
I know Bradley, and to give him advice, I'd just advise him to stick in there, train hard and do everything he does really to the best of his ability, and he'll go somewhere, I'm sure.
Down.
I started out canoeing at 4th Canoe Club on the Union Canal in central Edinburgh. Trained there a lot when I was a youngster, and it was a great starting venue for me. It had a lot of guys from the club who helped me out and were involved with coaching me and starting me out in canoeing, and I'm very glad that I had a chance to be involved in a canoe club that started me off so well. With regards planning towards 2012, there's not a set plan from now up till then. However, as soon as Beijing was over and we sat down and looked at where we were going now, certainly it's all planned roughly towards 2012. We know sort of what we need to do year on year and where we need to be up to, and just making a start on that now, really.
If you got to the Olympics, then definitely be worth it. Hopefully winning a gold medal at the Olympics and at the World Cup.
Certainly hoping to win 2012. I'm sure any elite sportsman hoping going to the Games is aiming to win gold, and that's certainly what I'd aim to do.
And our best wishes to both David and Bradley. But right now, back here at Grandtully, we're joining the action for the second run on the canoe double course, the C2. We saw David Florence and Richard Hounslow in training, and today they're currently in 4th place with a very respectable time of 1:17.90. At the top of the leaderboard, Dan Goddard and Colin Radmore are in 2nd with 1:11.20, while currently in 1st place are Tim Bailey and Etienne Stott with 1:07.83.
So here are the first competitors on the C2 class, and it's two guys that are pretty good in their own right on their own class. You've got David Florence in there, who's a C1 paddler, silver medalist at the Olympics, and sitting alongside him is Richard Hounslow, pretty impressive K1 paddler as well. Really getting very windy now, very, very windy indeed, which means those poles are flying around, and the C2 class makes it all the tougher to get through the gates. Of course, a lot of the gates are single gates now, but gates like 7 and 12, 13 and 14 are double gates, so the poles are pretty close together. To get two bodies through is not easy at all. So David Florence and Richard Hounslow looking pretty good, pretty strong. Both extremely fierce competitors, but must be particularly difficult for Richard Hounslow. Of course, he's used to being in the K1, which means, of course, he's sitting on his backside and he's got the double paddle, but he's on his knees alongside David Florence in the C2. So they're posting time, the first of the second runs to beat.
It's a time of 1:05.63 with 2 penalty points, and that's the fastest time on the course so far today. But can Tim Bailey and Etienne Stott improve on that excellent first run?
So, the leaders today so far after the first run with a time of 1:07.83 after 2 penalty seconds were added to the time. Tim Bailey, Etienne Stott. And they have been at the top of the C2 category for a very, very long time. These boys, very experienced competitors, very strong, very nice paddling. They know it well. And the difference at the upper level between Tim and Etienne and the others is significant. And they are working very well together. Long, powerful strokes, both using their backs, shoulders, strong core strength, and they have very, very different body shapes. One rangy and tall, one shorter, much more powerful, but they combine very, very well in the C2. And this is an impressive performance, good demonstration of paddling. They're cleanly through the gates so far, although they may be facing in the wrong direction as they come into 16. That was nicely spun around though, through 17 and sprinting towards 18 for a finish.
And with a time of 1:04.99, they've snatched first place. So here's the final result. In 3rd place, it's Dan Goddard and Colin Radmore with a time of 1:08.36. Relative newcomers to C2, Richard Hounslow and David Florence, were just over 3 seconds behind the winners, Tim Bailey and Etienne Stott. Tim and Etienne came in first with a time of 1:04.99.
That was another successful day for you up here in Perthshire. What do you think of the conditions and how did it vary over the day?
No, I thought for a natural river it was actually quite well behaved. It stayed at a pretty constant level. I didn't notice any change from one run to the other. We hit some different rocks on our second run, but it's because we were in a different place, not because the river level had changed.
So how big a gap in terms of the racing is there between you two at the top and then the second place paddlers?
You can make a mistake very easily, and the guys behind us are one mistake away from us. We can't be complacent at all. They're fast and they're eager, so we've got to keep pressing on ourselves.
This is one of the last natural rivers in Britain to be used for racing, and that makes it a special challenge for everyone involved in the course design. It's nearly time for the all-important men's kayak event.
The way we went about the course today was to break down into 3 moves. We wanted 3 key moves in the sections. We had one up top, one in the middle and one down the bottom. Then we go about linking those. Yeah, for the stronger men's kayak guys, there's a lot of technique involved in going straight on some of these moves, the fastest lines.
I can see quite a lot of the weaker kayakers, they're taking 2 or 3 strokes, whereas the good paddlers are sticking in the paddle and twisting their body. Is that something you're really, really looking for?
Yeah, a huge amount of core strength involved in the twist and the hold. And also just hours of technique work, really. You'll see the guys will use their edges in the middle very subtly to gain height in the eddies where you hit the slack water. If you've got a good stroking combined with that, then you're going to get momentum on the boat very quickly. And the key is spend as least time in the slack water as possible.
I'd say today's quite physical. It's not quite as big and bouncy and fast as some of the other courses, but yeah, it certainly starts to feel tired towards the bottom.
Is it good being on the natural rivers? I know, because a lot of the competitions you will do will be on artificial courses and man-made courses.
Yeah, it's great. It's totally different style of racing. Like you have rocks everywhere, and yeah, it's just great to sort of get down to basics again.
And we're joining the action as Tom Brady himself takes to the course.
Really successful young paddler, this guy. Performed very, very well last season. Silver medalist in the European Junior Championships, and also got to the semi-final in a Senior World Cup event in 2008. A real promising paddler for the future, and a boy who looks just in such control when he's on the river. Everything very smooth. Oh, it's very nicely down through 8 there. Ferry glide across to 9. Another upstream gate. And Brady looking good. He shouts of up, up, up from his coach on the side. And comfortably done. It's amazing. You see the speed of the paddle stroke slowing down as the energy starts to wane as they get down to the lower part of the course. But he's looking good as Tom. Through 12. Another upstream gate, 13 into an eddy there, but really can start. The arms and the shoulders start to get painful at this point of the course. And again, another upstream gate, 14. Watch that pole though as it's swinging, but he seems comfortably through there. 15, 16, 17. Caused some trouble so far for some of the younger competitors. But he's just through 17, but he's through. And that's a very impressive run from young Tom Brady. A great 2008 and looking pretty comfortable in 2009 as well.
And that's a very good time too for Tom, 93.94 with no penalties.
So here comes Hugh Swetnam, doing all the hard work at the top of the course. All the fast paddling. A little bow rudder to get through 2, 3 and 4. And just dumps the bow of the boat in, but he's doing pretty well, Hugh. We've seen him here at Grandtully in past seasons. Always performed fairly well. He was 26th in the European Championships, 2004, 11th, 2005, 2007. They dropped back down to 24th, but he was third in the men's team for the UK. So Swetnam taking on the course here at Grandtully, and looking not too bad, but comfortable down through 10. Putting a bit of power on, using the power of the river and the speed of the river through 11, and then you have to scrub it all off to go through the S at 12, through the eddy. Oh, and he's managed that pretty comfortably. 13, another upstream gate, and again over to 14, the third in a row. Of course, the upstream gates are positioned in eddies so that they're going from a fast flowing water to slow flowing water. Looking all right, Hugh.
And Hugh's finished in a fast time of 91.89, but the judges say he missed a gate, so that means a 50-second penalty. What a disappointment for him.
So here's now Campbell Walsh, European champion last year. He had a bit of a nightmare in the Olympics, unfortunately, with a 15th place. He was expecting himself to do much, much better than that. But he's shaken that off and is in top form, competing this year at the highest level again, defending his European title. And it shows the depths. Oh, that was very tight to that lower gate. But Campbell will dip under that single pole. Very nicely done. Came back from that Olympic defeat fired up to compete strongly this year. And he's very, very smooth, just with this minimal number of paddle strokes. Saving energy, excellent technique. That looked slightly slow. Yeah, he spent a little bit of time on that gate. But he charges down into the last of the upstream gates, number 14, and he has a series of 3 downhill gates. Oh, he's clipped that. That's not going to be, I don't think, his best run. He'll be looking to do better on the second of the 2.
And that time of 93.8 with 2 penalty points puts Campbell into 3rd place. Richard Hounslow is 2nd with 95.58, while Tom Brady is nearly 2 seconds clear at the top with a time of 93.94. And poor Hugh Swetnam, his 52nd penalty means he's down in lowly 45th place. But there's still another run, so it could still all change.
So here is the leader after the first run, Tom Brady, just 17 years old, and such a powerful and fantastic competitor, teaching some of the older guys, more experienced guys, all about how to approach the course here at Grandtully after that first run. He had a time of 93.94 with no penalty points, and he's looking good on this second run. Can he improve on that? Of course, he's taken part in Senior World Cup event, got to the semi-finals last year, so he's really, I was going to say a star of the future, but he's a star right now and still a junior 18 competitor, just 17 years old. But what can he do here today? Can he improve on that time of 93.94 seconds? That was an impressive first run. Still looking pretty good as Brady. Such a real fierce competitor, the way he attacks the course. Oh, was there a touch there on 13? That'll be for the judges to say. It was certainly swinging the pole there. It may have been someone before him that caused it to swing, but it certainly looked very close indeed. But he's safe through 14 now. Keep the concentration for the last part of the course. 15, 16 and 17. Well, Tom Brady, has he improved on the first run?
Yes, another strong run, and he's bettered the first run by a fraction of a second. It's 93.60. Tom's set the standard to beat.
So here is Hugh Swetnam. His first run today was very poor. He got a 50, which meant he missed the gate. So he's way down the leaderboard at the moment. But there's a guy with such a lot of experience and ability. He could pull something out the bag here today. Competed for the GB team for many, many years, Hugh. And competed here at Grandtully for many years as well. Knows this river extremely well. Got down really fast, 91.89, but that'll happen if you miss the gate on the way down. So he has the ability to get down this river very, very quickly. Will he be able to do it this time? Will he be able to do it clean? Some big, big strokes between 10 and 11. And there's a wee bit of movement in the gate at 12. How's he going to handle? Oh, a wee bit of a hesitation before, but that's fast. That is fast through 12. Just got to keep it together for 13 and 14, the upstream gates. So, Hugh Swetnam. Oh, that's looking good. Now, is that a time to worry the leaders?
Yes, that was a fantastic run, and with the new rules in place this year, that second run time of 92.58 puts Hugh in the lead. But can he keep it?
So now sprinting into the top of this course on a beautiful afternoon is the European Slalom champion, Campbell Walsh. Campbell is a fierce competitor. Slightly lost the tail of the boat there, dipped into the white water, losing power. Oh, he may have missed that gate that completely. Overcooking it slightly. Oh, he's having a bit of a nightmare to start with, but it's all enthusiasm and power. It's an all or nothing run for Campbell to win this. He was taking risks there. He may have missed a gate, but I'm not sure. But this is it, braking the boat hard, spinning it around to get a good fast out on gate 8. And Campbell just demonstrating how much core body strength you need to kayak well in these conditions. A lot of it coming from the hips and the knees. Very quick through this. This is a very important gate. He needs to get through that cleanly. It's quite difficult. Just dipped slightly there. He was slightly offline. cleanly through 13, and Campbell powering down. This may not be clean enough. He did make a mistake on the upper part of the course. It cost him a little bit of time. And that looked slow as well on gate 15. But he's cleanly through to the end for a time of, it's 93.6 for Campbell.
Richard Hounslow dropping in now. He's in second place after the first run. He had a time of 95.58 with no penalty points. Was he taking it easy in the first run is the question, because here's a guy that can do some damage, no doubt about that. And he has the ability, as does Campbell Walsh, of doing some damage here at Grandtully. Number 1 on his jersey. Will it be number 1 after today's second run? And here it is. So how's his time doing? Looking pretty clean so far as he moves on down. He doesn't look to be working too hard between 10 and 11. A lot of the guys put in big power strokes there between 10 and 11 to get an extra bit of speed. But this guy knows what he's doing, does Richard. So 12 down to 13, another upstream gate. Get round it nice and quickly. And across to 14. It's all looking pretty good so far, but is it fast enough is the question.
Oh, he's got a touch on 14, so he'll have to move it now. He'll have to motor it to make up that 2 seconds. Oh, he seems to have maybe been disappointed with that. I wonder if it's enough, though.
No, a really disappointing run for Richard. 97.46, nearly 2 seconds slower than his first run. And that means he's now in 5th place. Campbell Walsh and Tom Brady both finished with identical times. In this situation, the first run becomes the decider. And Tom's was quicker first time round, so he snatches 2nd place. And Hugh Swetnam's 92.58 secures him victory. What a result.
After the first run, I knew I was fast enough, had the fastest time, but with a 50-second penalty, it put me right near the bottom. So I knew the time was there, but I had to produce it just with the 1 run, so now please.
The old rules would have meant that you probably wouldn't have been in the running getting that 50-point penalty, so...
Big fan of the new rules. Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's the first actual race I've done under the new rules, so yeah, it makes it interesting.
Fantastic from you today, absolutely brilliant. 2 runs and they were both of great quality.
Yeah, it was really good to, it's the second race of the season, and it's good to put some good racing down.
Now Hugh is very pleased with the new sort of rules because he got a 50 in the first run, which meant he'd been out of the running. You had 2 really good runs, but he beat you on the second run.
Yeah, it was a bit upsetting, but yeah, Hugh did great, and I'm sure, the new rules suit me as well, so yeah, it's good.
And that's it from Grandtully and this month's adventure show. Next time we're off to Fort William for all the action of the Mountain Bike World Cup. We'll see you then.